Hey there, how's it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward, and right now I'm going to take you through a leg workout that I did the other day. And with this leg workout, what I'm primarily focusing on is trying to emphasize more quadriceps, especially with my squats. So you notice right here, as I'm doing the squats, I have my heels elevated on a couple 10-pound plates. Or maybe they're 5-pound plates, I can't remember. But anyway, I have my feet elevated on a couple of weight plates. And the idea is just to angle my feet forward. And this changes the way that the muscles get activated. It actually places a little bit more of the emphasis on the quadriceps versus the glutes and the hamstrings. And I normally do my squats flat-footed, wearing a flat sole shoe. I mean, I'm still wearing a flat sole shoe in this video, but again, experimenting with the heels elevated squat seems to be working. I actually really enjoyed it, and I found that it did place a little bit more emphasis on the quadriceps. And the way that I like to do my squats is I'll start off with a very light weight and pyramid my way up, and basically go as heavy as I feel comfortable that day. I mean, obviously our strength levels are going to fluctuate. Some days you may feel stronger, some days you may feel weaker. Don't get too hung up on it. Just lift for that particular day, and what I prefer to do is multiple sets with a given weight. So I personally do not rep out to failure with squats. I find that even though it can be an effective muscle building workout, the risk to reward ratio of repping to failure to the point where you are physically stuck with a loaded barbell on your back and you either have to dump it or get a spotter to assist you or something like that, the risk of injury is very high at that stage. So I prefer to stop all my sets short of failure when doing big basic barbell exercises like squats, bench presses, deadlifts, things of that nature, just for safety reasons. Because again, if you get injured, that is the number one thing that is going to slow your progress. Now, where things change a bit for me is when I'm doing machine exercises. So right here, as I'm doing the leg extension, I will rep out to failure and even beyond failure. And the reason for that is because it's a much safer exercise variation. There's very little risk of injury if you rep out to failure with a machine such as the leg extension. I mean, if you get to the point where you get stuck, you can't lift the weight or complete another rep, you just stop the exercise. You're not going to get pinned under a heavy barbell. There's no risk of serious injury. You just physically stop the movement and everything is fine. And what I like to do to even take things beyond failure is I'll do partial repetitions, and that's what I'm doing right here in the video. You see I'm not fully extending my leg, but I'm just doing some partial reps. And then I'll do some rest pause reps, where I'll physically take a 5 to 10 second break and just, kind of take a few deep breaths and then continue on with the set. And just do multiple mini sets back to back in this rest pause fashion. And by doing so, you're going to get a killer pump in whatever muscle you're training. So in this case, I'm getting a killer pump in the quadriceps, getting a lot of lactic acid burn, a lot of muscle fatigue, stimulating the central nervous system and all those growth factors, but doing so in a safe manner. Again, the risk of injury is very low because you can't physically drop any weight or get pinned under anything, but at the same time, we're pushing the muscles to physical exhaustion. So that's the way I've been structuring my workouts lately, is I'll be a little bit conservative with the exercises that have the biggest risk of injury, but I'll push myself to failure and beyond with machine exercises and movements that are very safe to perform. And moving on in the workout, going to do some isolation work for the hamstrings with the lying leg curl. And I'll do this exercise in the same fashion as I did the leg extensions. So I'll start off with several progressively heavier warm-up sets just to warm up the joints, tendons, and ligaments and to get used to the exercise. And then I'm going to take my top working weight and rep it out to failure. So do as many full range repetitions as I can, followed up by some partial range of motion repetitions to really work those hamstrings to the max. And then once I hit exhaustion, I'll take a break. A little rest pause of about 5 to 10 seconds, take a few deep breaths, and then continue on. And it's amazing how you can hit momentary muscular failure, but with a short break, literally a 5 to 10 second break, you can continue on again. I mean, that is enough time to regenerate your body's energy system, to regenerate that ATP, which is the energy system that we're using for high intensity weight training exercise. And you can continue on and push yourself to really help stimulate muscle growth. And again, you're doing so in a safe fashion because the risk of injury with machine exercises like this is very low. Now, I know some people may be wondering about the lying leg curl versus the seated leg curl versus the standing leg curl, and quite honestly, they all work the hamstring muscles in a similar fashion. So you can experiment with the different types of leg curl machines that you have access to at your gym. In my case, I like to alternate them. So I may use the lying leg curl for several weeks and then switch to the seated leg curl and use that variation for several weeks. You can do this with all your major muscle groups. You don't have to use every exercise variation in the same workout, but you can do similar movement patterns and just alternate the different variations of those movement patterns over time. So again, stick with one variation for several weeks, then use another variation for several weeks, and each time you alternate it, it's going to help to add more training variety and more unique muscle stimulation, and this is going to make your workouts more fun and enjoyable and also more productive. And the final exercise of the workout is the leg press. Now, I like to save this one for the end of my leg workout. And the reason for that is because it's a good overall leg workout that's going to hit everything. It's going to hit the quadriceps, it's going to hit the hamstrings and the glutes, and it's just a great overall finishing move. Now, I know a lot of guys prefer to do the leg press as their first leg exercise, when they're strong and they can pile on a ton of 45-pound plates. And there are pros and cons to that. I'm not saying that that's not a good approach, but if you do it as a finishing move at the end of your leg workout, when your quads and hams are already pre-fatigued from all the previous exercises, then you can get a lot more muscle activation with less weight. And thus, it's a safer way to do the leg press. Because this exercise does carry a risk of injury, especially when you're pushing yourself with a lot of weight. I mean, if you have it piled on with 45-pound plates and you are straining at your max, if anything were to go wrong, if your foot were to slip on the foot plate or any stupid little mistake like that, it could be a serious injury. You know, a serious injury to your knees, to your hips, or whatever. So I prefer to modify my workouts in a way that I'm still getting maximum muscle stimulation, but doing so in the safest manner possible. And I found that as I get older and more mature in my workouts, injury prevention is my #1 priority. I mean, when I was younger, I was a bit, I don't know what the word is, a bit careless, I guess, or had that attitude that, you know, I understand injuries can happen, but it's not going to happen to me, until it did. I mean, over the years, I've had my share of injuries. I've tore muscles in my lat, I've torn both biceps, I've had knee problems and hip problems, and most of it has come from training too heavy, especially with dangerous exercises. So I try and gear my training around injury prevention as much as possible, because I know from experience that nothing is going to slow your progress down more than getting injured. And as one extra finishing move, I'm throwing in 10 minutes on the Stairmaster. And this one is a killer. I mean, once your legs are fatigued from a leg workout, going for a 10-minute walk up the Stairmaster is really going to finish things off. It's going to help to, flush the legs with blood. It'll help to give you a really good pump. And again, I just find that it's a killer way to finish off a leg workout. I always like to do some form of cardiovascular exercise after my workouts as a cool down, and this is what I choose to do after a leg workout because, again, it's going to work all those muscles that we just trained with our weight training exercises. So there you go, a complete leg workout. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, comments, or feedback about this, feel free to post those down in the comment section below, and we'll chat about them down there. And in the meantime, if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date with all my videos. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you in my next video. Take care. Over and out.